My Lords, House to be again in Committee on the Passenger Railway Services Public Ownership Bill, Lord Hendy of Richmond Hill.
My Lords, I beg to move that the House do now again resolve itself into a committee upon the bill.
The question is that the House do now again resolve itself into a committee upon the bill. As soon as that opinion will say content. Contrary not content, the content have it. One moment. Okay. In Clause 2, Amendment 47, Lord Moylan.
My Lords, I rise to move Amendment 47 standing in my name. There's a great deal said earlier in committee about the achievements of Transport for London in improving passenger rail services in London through the London Overground system predominantly earlier in committee, and it would be wrong for me and unnecessary for me to repeat any of that. Any noble lord who wishes to see it summarised can read the excellent speech from the noble Baroness Lady Pigeon, who explained it all extremely well. So I shan't be repeating that. But I do want to say that when it comes to London, this bill has a huge lacuna at the heart of it, and that is the mayor. The mayoralty is an office which was established by referendum. It is not one to be treated with contempt. I may surprise noble lords by saying that I had an increasing regard for the first mayor, Ken Livingstone, who defeated his Labour opponent in order to become mayor in the year 2000. We worked, I think we bonded really over our joint opposition on which we worked together to Gordon Brown's disastrous PPP for London Underground. And that brought us together, and I have to say he always treated me with great courtesy and kindness. In transport terms, he started London Overground, and it was, of course, his success in securing in winning the Olympic bid that secured for Transport for London a huge amount of investment in transport in the capital, which was transformative. How does this government treat his successor? On the 9th of July, immediately after meeting the Prime Minister and other ministers, in the immediate wake of the election, he said, what's clear from listening to Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer today is that they are really keen to devolve more powers, not just to London, but to other parts of the country. You will be hearing in the course of the next few weeks and months examples of those additional powers. Well, here we are a few weeks and months later, and what do we hear? But he said something else on the 9th of July. He said, one of the things that was confirmed from the meeting this morning is once those franchises end and are brought into the Department for Transport, they will be talking to mayors like me about which of those railways we can take over. I'll be lobbying for, once those franchises end, those commuter trains that come into London, for us to have that. And that was the position of the mayor, and as far as I know, it remains unchanged. But the truth must have dawned on him when he read, if he has by now read, the letter sent very courteously by the noble lord, the minister, on the 18th of October to noble lords who spoke at second reading of this bill, where the minister said in unequivocal terms, the government has no current plan to devolve responsibility for operating further national railway services to local authorities. And I take it, of course he could contradict me on this, but I take it by that and from the tone of the debate earlier in committee that he includes London and the mayoralty amongst those local authorities. So what is it that he's actually offering? The Mayor of London is going to have the ability to agree national and regional services with Great British Railways to be run by Great British Railways. And earlier in committee, the noble lord, the minister, gave an example of how that might work. because he told us, and again I'm not reading this from Hansard, but my recollection I think is correct, he told us that he was already in discussions with the Mayor of Greater Manchester about how the Mayor of Greater Manchester could purchase services from, now I presume from Network Rail at this stage, because Great British Railways, as we know, doesn't exist as a legal entity, nor does shadow Great British Railways have any legal substance. So I'll assume from Network Rail. But how he can purchase services from Network Rail, which could even be branded with the B Network logo, which is the characteristic mark of local transport services in London and of the buses operated by the Mayor. Now, I think it's worth dwelling on this for a moment, because this is, I think I can say, and it's very much up to the noble Lord the Minister to correct me, this is something which, had it been put to him when he was Commissioner of Transport for London, he would have rejected out of hand. The Transport for London brand is of huge value, and it goes to the reputation of Transport for London in a very intimate and direct way. And there is no way that he, or I think the mayors he served under, would have accepted that services operated by a different operator altogether could have been travelling with the TfL brand on them, over which he had minimal control. Now, some noble lords may say, but isn't that what happens already? He has private companies operating services in London with the TfL brand on them. But they are, of course, operated on a concession basis, and they are very tightly controlled by Transport for London. Transport for London remains in control of its own brand. It is a question of the power relationship. But what is the power relationship going to be between the Mayor of Greater Manchester and Great British Railways if the services they offer, branded with the B network, which I admit doesn't at this stage perhaps yet have the brand, the global brand recognition that TfL and its logo and its other merchandising and its map and so forth have. But nonetheless, the B network is an important brand for the people of Greater Manchester. What power is he going to have if those services are operated in a way that is shoddy or objectionable or fails in some sort of way? I shan't speculate in what ways, because we can all imagine whether it's to do with timeliness, frequency, reliability, cleanliness, all the other standards that have a direct and immediate impact upon passengers. Well, of course, he will have no power over them at all, partly because he has nowhere else to go, and partly because he is simply a mayor and they are Network Rail. They are huge and he is relatively small. So this is an arrangement that would have been wholly unacceptable to Transport for London under the guardianship of the noble Lord the Minister, and quite rightly so. But this is now what is going to be offered to London. The fact is that the government is trashing a system which is known to work, which has delivered significant improvements, certainly in London, and which they are replacing with something that is untried, untested, and moreover, which goes to the heart of their own conception of what the railways should be like, that they should be running everything, but some things can be run by other people because they already are run by other people. And that is the irrational basis on which this project is being advanced. It seems to me that the government has very little clarity about where they are taking us as a direct result of this bill, as a direct consequence of this bill, and its prohibition on the Secretary of State awarding franchises or contracts of any sort to anybody, any organisation which is not a public service company owned by the Secretary, effectively owned by the Secretary of State. So the question I started with, which is where is the mayor, is a broader one than simply for London. It really is, where are the mayors? Where does devolution belong in this? What is the government's vision for this? Is it really workable? And why are they trashing something that works to give us something which they claim